Hello everybody and welcome back to Helen's Homemade Kitchen. So first I want to thank everybody who voted and who appreciated my videos on trying to get people out to vote or get registered. I'm not doing this for myself, I do this for everybody else in this country who have been hurting. So no matter what side of the aisle you sit on now, I want everybody to be able to understand that this is better for our country. We'll be able to come together and we can deal with these problems that we have without the tension that has been boiled for the last 4 years. And hopefully we can move forward as a country, I hope. I feel a lot of relief as much of the country has. Not for me, but for everybody who is affected by this person. As a woman, I am affected, but as a white woman, I know that I do not have as much of an issue in this country as other people do. So, that being said, I want to remember that it is November, and while we are still in the midst of a pandemic, we can at least enjoy the family that we have around us. And I know like Thanksgiving is coming up. Please be safe. To everybody who is even contemplating being with another family, try to do it outside. There's CDC regulations that they make suggestions to have, if you can, in Pennsylvania, it might not be that easy, but we've had hot days and cold days, so it might work out. Try to do it outside. Try to do it with people in your own house that you're around all the time anyway. The case rises are going up, so just be safe out there. But while you can, try to enjoy the time that you have with your family. If you have children, they can help you in the kitchen and you can do little projects. My favorite thing around this time of year is making pies. If anybody knows me, you know I make pumpkin pie, apple pie, sweet potato pie, any kind of pie you want it, I make it. But this year I don't think I'm going to be making a lot of pies for other people. My dad has requested pies. I'm going to try my best, Dad, I promise. I will try my best to send you pies. I'm working on it. Mailing pies is not as easy. I'm trying to find ways. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to make pumpkin puree. So you can make pumpkin pies. If you don't like pumpkin, sorry, this video is not necessarily for you, but you can also do this with sweet potatoes as well. If you like sweet potatoes or any kind of root vegetable, or even if you just like squash, you can, butternut squash, you can use the same kind of method to just make a soup. And with pumpkin, you can make pumpkin bread, pumpkin pie, pumpkin soup, any pumpkin pancakes are one of my favorite things to make around Thanksgiving as well when my family wakes up. And there are so many different types of pumpkins. I didn't realize people don't know this until last week. There are so many different types of pumpkins. But there are pumpkins that you bake, and then there's pumpkins that you just use for jack-o'-lanterns. And those big ones, those big round ones that you get to make jack-o'-lanterns that have very thin flesh and a lot of seeds inside, those are not good for eating because, one, they don't have a lot of flesh, so you're doing a lot of work for not a lot of meat of the pumpkin. But also, it's not sweet, it's very mealy. Trust me, I tried it, it doesn't work well. But they do give you big seeds. So if you do end up cutting up a jack-o'-lantern, use it for the seeds, and that's pretty much it. But even those are, a lot of them are really, really big, and the flavor is not as good when you do them. So what I suggest is there are a variety of types of pumpkins. If you're starting off and you just want to get a small one, get a sugar pie pumpkin. I go with a giant cheese pumpkin, or they call these fairy tale pumpkins as well. They're really big, and with these I usually try to group them into about 2 cups or so. So I have about 9 rings around here. I kind of count each groove, and like that's kind of about the amount that I would get for 2 cups. So I have 9 rings, so I'm gonna get about 18 cups out of this. I paid $13 for this. $13 for 18 cups. And if you buy a can, you're paying more than $1, so you're getting well worth your time. Plus, you know what's in it. Plus, you get the seeds too. So, bonus. If you're a pumpkin head, this is well worth the buy. You can also get there are like I usually get like either this or a Girardel. I think that's what it's called. It's like a white pumpkin on the outside, but it's like orange on the inside. As long as you get one with a bright orange flesh on the inside, you're good and golden. But like I said, stay away from the jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. They are very mealy. They don't taste sweet. And these are probably the best to cut up. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set your oven to 400 degrees. Okay, we're roasting this. We're going to roast it not once, but twice. Okay, this way you get all that moisture out, because I don't know if you know this, but a pumpkin is a melon, just like a watermelon. Watermelons have a lot more water, but these have a lot of water inside of them. They are swollen melons. Okay, so they contain a lot of water. You want to get a lot of that moisture out so you can put a lot more flavor in, so it's not watery. And to do that, I found roasting it twice versus once is so much better. And the first time you're going to roast it with the skin, we're going to cut this open. This is a pretty big boy. So this is not for kids to cut. This is for you, the adults. They can help you scoop out the seeds. If you got little hands that want to help, they can scoop out the seeds with you, and then you guys can roast those later. But the first thing we want to do is cut this up, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So the things that you need on hand, at least for this first part, is you want a big honking pumpkin or a small sugar pie pumpkin. You could do the same thing, same oven temperature and everything. Just watch it, because it might take a little less time, but since we're cutting it up, we're getting more surface area, and that's the reason why we're cutting it up. Because if we put this whole pumpkin in there, we are going to have pumpkin in there for like 3 days. And as much as that smells great, I don't think I would want to eat it after that. So we have to cut this up, and you're gonna need some vegetable oil. You can use canola oil or any type of neutral oil. Do not use olive oil unless you absolutely know that you're using it for a savory bit, but you can always add that later. And I like to use salt. Salt brings out the moisture if you want to get out the moisture. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna cut into one of these bad boys. Okay, and if you have, I don't have one anymore, I don't know why, but if you have like not a chef's knife, if you have a butcher knife, you can use that and tap it with a little hammer, like a mallet, kitchen mallet, not a actual hammer. But you want to cut it in half first, and then you're going to cut it up into wedges, okay? And then we're going to oil them up and put them in the oven. So I'm going to make a sped up video of this so you can see. When you get to this point, you see all these threads that are inside and the seeds that are in there. You want to scoop them out, get a bowl, just get a clean bowl. You want to scoop them out, and then you can put all your seeds in there, and then you can have the kids go through it and pick all those seeds out. You get those seeds out, and then you can roast them, a little salt and pepper, or you could do cinnamon sugar, whatever flavors you want. I also like to use make them spicy. You use like chili seasoning, whatever flavors make you happy. You roast them, have a good time. Eat them as a nice, healthier snack. Okay, all right, now look at that. Look how bright and orange that is. That is a perfect pumpkin. Okay, so now that we have it, we have this in about 4/4. I'm also gonna cut them in half since they are so big. Okay, sometimes it's easier to cut them on the inside than the outside. And this way you have big chunks. And we're going to peel. Another thing that your children can help you with is if you see this peel, the outside skin, you can have them peel it off once it's roasted. Good jobs for kids to do. Always think about, if you do have children, always think about how they can help you with the kitchen, in the kitchen versus trying to keep them out of it. There's so many people that don't know how to cook now because their parents kept them out of the kitchen. So the best thing to do is try to keep them in the kitchen. This way you know where they are. That's one thing. 2, you can have fun projects to do with them. And 3, you get a little helper. And that's always fun too. A little work off of your plate is always a good thing. So once we get these all chopped up, we're gonna put them in the oven. We're gonna cover them in our oil and our salt. And then we're gonna put them in the oven and roast them until they get soft. We'll test it out. Usually it's about an hour, about 45 minutes to an hour. Check them, do a fork test. If your fork goes through, they are done. If it doesn't, it needs more time. Okay, and then do that until they get to that point. There's really no, as long as you don't burn it, there's no like, oh, just right point, and then you can't like save it. If you go like a minute over, that's fine. Just check it every 5 to 10 minutes after that point, and you should be good. It also depends on how much pumpkin you're putting in the oven and how small you put them in. Put them in smaller chunks. It's a lot more work to cut it up, but they usually roast a lot quicker because more surface area, more heat can be absorbed. Science, right? So once you're done with all that and your pieces are on the side, we want to be safe. Put our knife in the sink. I'm going to rinse my hands. We're going to cover all of these in vegetable oil. Sorry, not olive oil. Olive oil, no good for a pumpkin. Cover these in your vegetable oil or canola oil or any type of neutral oil, but do not use olive oil because it has a very distinct taste. It'll throw off flavors if you're trying to make a pie later on. Okay. So we want to rub it all over the skin too. That'll help it roast better. Okay. Cover the skin. I forgot to say this earlier, but if you have pumpkins, before you start this whole thing, you should make sure that you scrub your pumpkin very liberally with water and a scrub brush that you only use for vegetables, not soap or anything. You don't want to put soap on it, but you do want to scrub it, get off any dirt that might be on the outside of it, because pumpkins do grow in the ground, and that's important. So You're just gonna put these on a baking rack. Now I have silicone mats, but if you have that, you can use that, or parchment paper would be good. Do that. We're gonna cover these all with oil. Okay, bathe them. So little babies. Okay, I want to make sure you have the flesh side up. Okay, skin side down, because you want to, usually the bottom is where it gets browned. You don't want the flesh to get very browned, and you also don't want it to stick to the pan. Now I have a silicone mat. It's not gonna stick, but it, you know, it takes a little. It's annoying. Just it's just better for the roasting process if your flesh is sitting up versus down. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in the oven, and I'm gonna set it for an hour since my pumpkin is pretty big, and I'm gonna check on it, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as it's done, and then we'll finish the rest of this. Hello, welcome back. So the pumpkin is finished roasting. It took an hour and a half on 400 degrees for me. As I said, it's a big pumpkin, so it might take longer. I just kept poking it with a fork until it came out soft. Once you get to that point, I pulled it out and I let it cool for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And now I'm going to scoop it out. Now it's still a little warm, and you want it a little warm just because it's a little bit easier to get the skin off of it, and the skin comes right off. All you have to do is scoop it. So I have my pumpkin here, and I have a plastic bag, or you can use whatever you use. If you're gonna compost it, you can do that. A big bowl to scoop it into, and what you're gonna do is you're just going to scoop the flesh and then peel the skin off, and you'll get the most out of it like this. Just like when if you make a potato, the best way to make potato is to boil the whole thing with the skin on and just wipe the skin off, because you get the most of it out. So you could just scoop it out. You see that? It's just beautiful pumpkin. All of that flesh you get, and you get no skin on it. You don't have to worry about peeling it, because try to take a vegetable peeler to a pumpkin and you'll be crying later. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. And as I said, it's a little bit easier when they're bigger chunks versus, you can make them into smaller chunks, but again, it's going to be harder to just scoop them off. It'll take you longer. I've done it that way. Trial and error. I've done it. It works, but honestly, it takes longer. I'd rather have it roasting a little bit longer and get more flavor added to the pumpkin in the oven than try to rush it. But you use your best judgment. Okay, so we're just gonna scoop this all out, get the most flesh off. And like I said, this makes a ton of pumpkin puree. It's not even funny. This is so much pumpkin. So if you are not ready for this much pumpkin, get a sugar pie pumpkin. They're much smaller. You'll still get a lot out of it. It just won't be like 18 cups of pumpkin. I'm just used to eating a lot of pumpkin and making a lot of pumpkin pies. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but obviously, since we are using so much of our hands, please, and you should do this anyway, no matter if you're touching the food in general, wash your hands. Wash your hands while you cook, before you cook. Very important. You just want to make sure that everything's sanitary, even if you're just cooking for yourself. I know you're just cooking for yourself, but you might have touched a doorknob. You might have touched your cat or your dog, and now you're gonna put that in your food. You don't want to do that. So, better be safe than sorry. Wash those hands. And like I said, take the skins, put them aside. If you compost, I think you can compost it. I've never composted that because it's just so moist, you know, unless you dry it out. But, you know, I just started composting some things that I know that I can compost, like onions and banana peels and stuff, and egg shells. So, you know, if you can save those and do that, great. I might actually look that up after this. Okay, so I only did a fourth, and look at all that gets you. That is only a fourth of this pumpkin. I only took two sides, two parts, and I cut this into 8 pieces. So I'm gonna put this aside because we can't do all of it at the same time, right? And the next thing we're gonna do is actually literally puree it in a food processor. So I'm gonna take the food processor and we're gonna fill it up till the line where it says we can fill it up. And where's my spoon? There's my spoon. Okay. So we're gonna fill it up and then we're gonna puree it until it's very fine consistency. Okay. That shouldn't take too long since we baked it. It's already very more like it's very broken down, and pumpkin already comes, as you can see, like breaks down into kind of shreds when it's cooked. And that's why when you cut open a pumpkin at all, like it has those shreds that hold on to the seeds. So that's it, it's just growing into the shreds, and that's what the flesh is. Okay, so I'm gonna fill it up to about where I can't fill it up no more. You probably fill it up a little bit more after it breaks down. All right, and hold your ears. So look at this beautiful pumpkin puree, okay? So you can have it like this, let it cool down a little bit more, okay? Then put it in Ziplocs. You can freeze it for up to 6 months, okay? Or you can double roast it. Like I'm going to double roast this. It just brings out more flavor and concentrates it. You can also do that after you freeze it. So if you're done for today, you can always stop what you're doing, freeze it, and just do it when you're about to do the rest of your cooking. But I find it a little bit easier to do that part first, especially if I'm doing something like pumpkin pies, because then I don't have to roast it again and then put hot pumpkin and wait for that to cool down before I have to do it again. This way, I already did that part. I just have to put it all together, mix it with the eggs and everything else. So anyway, I'm gonna do that. And I will post up at the end a picture of it fully roasted for 2 times. The roasting for the second time is 400 degrees for 20 minutes. Once you're done with that, let it cool completely to room temperature. And then you can use it in any recipe that you want, or you can bag and tag it for up to 6 months in your freezer. Okay? I'm gonna post the rest of this on Instagram for my pumpkin seeds, and I will puree the rest of this, but be on the lookout for the rest of my pumpkin videos. I'm gonna make some pumpkin bread, some pumpkin pancakes, and pumpkin pie, and hopefully some pumpkin soup. So a lot of a lot of videos coming your way soon. See you soon, and don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below, and let me know what is your favorite pumpkin recipe. Thank you. Bye.